are you a fiduciary? And if they don't say yes, you do not want to talk to them further. You want to ask, in a typical client portfolio, what would all in fees look like? And you have to use the word all in, because then they will tell you, they will incorporate the fee you pay to them plus the fee that is embedded in the investments. And this is why I like indexing, the green smoothie version, because those fees tend to be around 1/10 or 0.2%. Other investments that are typically recommended can have fees of 1.5% to 2%. So even though the advisory fee tends to be about 1% across the board, it's what kicks you in the tushy is that extra embedded fee in the investments. And if you just ask the advisor, what's your fee? They'll tell you their fee, but you want the all-in fee. And the answer is you want your all-in fee to be less than 1.5%.
Okay, I am writing this down because I'm going to put this in my show notes. The two things: ask, do you operate under a fiduciary or a suitability standard? And then ask what the all-in fees are, and you want them to be less than 1.5%.
Correct.
Perfect. Because that way, if listeners can walk away with nothing else, or if they're driving and they're like, I can't remember all of this, at least those two things are in the show notes. Ladies, listeners, everybody, read the show notes. Those two important pieces will be there. Do you have any other nuggets of wisdom that you would like me to put in the show notes on that?
I think the other thing I just really want women to know is that there are two styles of investing. One is called active and one is called passive. And the reason it's so important to know about the difference is that studies show passive, which is, I don't like that word because it sounds like you're doing nothing. I prefer the term indexing. 9 times out of 10 does better and is always cheaper. Yet I think what is so intimidating about investing to so many women is the blah, blah, blah that you hear in the financial news, which is always about active investing, which is the style I would say nobody should use. And so just to give a quick analogy, I think about investing like driving down a freeway. And the people in the left lane driving like crazy nuts, trying to get that incremental advantage on the car ahead. Those are like active investors. They're looking for that one stock to beat them all. People in the right and middle lanes are going at the speed limit. They have their seatbelt on and they're listening to your podcast, Laura, and they're smiling. And what happens when that situation? Both cars almost inevitably hit the red light at the same time. But the driver in the left lane has sweaty armpits and a palpitating heart, and the driver in the right lane is calm, cool, and collected. And in investing, not only do you not need to be in the left lane, I think it's profoundly dangerous to be in the left lane. And so just letting women know, the third question I always suggest asking is, do you practice an active investment strategy, or do you use an indexing investment strategy? And I want the answer to be indexing. So it's the fiduciary, all-in fees, and do you use active versus indexing? What you're trying to figure out, do they drive in the left lane with their investments, or do they drive in the right lane with their investments?
Fantastic. And also, I think that would be comforting for a lot of women or people to hear who feel a little insecure about money. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to buy and sell and day trade, and I don't know how to do this, blah, blah. You don't have to.
And not only do you not have to, I would tell you after 25 years in the industry that if you do that, the odds are exceptionally high that you will shoot yourself in the foot with a financial Uzi. So not only do you not have to do that, I actually feel it is really in your best interest to not even try and do that.
Right. And I'm thinking for people who are thinking money, claws out, I don't know. That relieves my mind. I would think that would relieve their minds too. I know the questions to ask. I know I'm not going to be taken advantage of. And I know it's not as scary as I think. I can be successful.
And what I will say, the one thing I noticed between women and men with money, and it's the same thing as women and men looking for jobs. You've seen the studies that say men will apply for jobs when they have like 20% of the, qualifications,
Yeah.
and women, we won't apply until we have like 110% of the qualifications. And I'm exaggerating there, but we really hold ourselves to a higher standard. And the single biggest thing that I see women being very good savers, but then they don't invest the money. And the reason they're not investing the money is because they're waiting until they have perfect understanding and information in order to invest. The problem is, number one, the whole reason you earn more investing in stocks than you do putting your money in a savings account is because you're taking some risk. And what that means is, by definition, you are making a decision in the absence of perfect information. That's why you get higher returns in stocks. So you can never be certain. It's an oxymoron when it comes to investing. But history shows us that over the long run, stocks are what help us beat inflation. And the most cost-effective way to own them is through index funds. And you don't need to know what the price of gold is, or the current interest rates, or what the Dow Jones closed at if you invest in index funds. And my favorite way to invest in index funds is through target date retirement funds that are built using index funds. And the way these funds work, they have boring names like target date 2030 or target date 2050. And those years correspond to the year, ideally, that's closest to when you'll turn 70. You buy that one fund, and if it's based on index funds, Fidelity has an index retirement fund. They call it a freedom fund, but you have to ask for the index version. Vanguard is the very first ones that really did this. What happens is, over time, your money gets shifted from stocks to bonds so that it gets gradually more conservative the closer you get to retirement. And it takes the decision-making out of your hands. And what we found with investors of both genders is that when you automate and you outsource your financial decisions in this sort of way by using a target date retirement fund, you make much better decisions, because it's again, it's an awful lot like taking a multivitamin. Like, you've got everything in there. So you could literally own a target date retirement fund. And when you own that, you will own roughly 5,000 different bonds and pieces of roughly 8,000 different companies. So you're so diversified. You can have just that one investment and you will be wildly diversified.
That's brilliant and simple, because I love the example that you just gave, that we want to know it all.
Yeah.
That is so true. I think the women that I work with, just in making decisions about their life in general, they all have a tendency to get stuck in the loop of seeking more information, taking one more online class, talking to one more person, reading one more book. Just decide already. And what an easy way to decide and to be relatively safe, because if you're that diverse, even if one thing goes down, everything else is good. Just like that multivitamin. I might not need vitamin A today, but that vitamin D is something I could use.
Well, and I know we're almost at time, so I want to leave one other thing for the show notes that I think is absolutely vitally important, which is, do not ever invest money in the stock market that you know you need to spend in the next 5 years. That is how you deal and protect yourself from market volatility. If you know you need to spend it the next 5 years, you keep it in cash, or a money market fund is really, we call it a cash equivalent. But it's only your longer term money, your 5-year out money, that you're investing, because that gives you the odds that the up and down, inevitable up and down movements of the market are not going to affect your daily life. And that's probably if I had to end with a really strong rule of thumb that people don't hear enough, do not invest money you need to spend in the next 5 years. Don't take that down payment and put it into the market because you want to earn a little bit more.
That's good to know. Good to know. And not to counter that, this is not a counter, this is an and, not a but. And even if you're keeping that money because you need to spend it, I'm also hearing you say it doesn't even matter sometimes if you're just investing $50 at a time. Just keep investing. You don't have to wait for this huge stockpile of money to invest. Just a little bit with every paycheck gets you there.
Absolutely. And that money is the money that you're setting. I'm glad you phrased that and brought this up, Laura, because that's your long-term money. So when I say don't, that's your retirement money. So when I say don't invest money that you need to spend in the next 5 years, I don't want you to think that you have to pay for everything you want in your life before you start saving for retirement. What I mean is don't put money in that you plan to use for something in the near term that is clearly earmarked, like a vacation, or to pay for a wedding, or down payment on a home or a car. But your retirement money, that $25, $50, $100 a month that you might be socking away, that's your long-term money. You're not going to be spending that until you're in retirement. That's decades away. So thank you for that clarification. That was a very powerful and.
Good. I just have to say, on a personal level, it was so enjoyable and enlightening to speak with you for a variety of reasons. I enjoyed the awareness. I enjoyed the discussion of women, men, how investing is the same. We just have different headwinds, different beliefs, different cultural beliefs around that. So thank you for your work, for your service, not only to the women of the world, but to the entire world, because as half the population, if we are elevating ourselves, we are creating a healthier, happier world for all of us. So thank you very much.
Oh, Laura, it's my pleasure. And I'll just tell people, I don't work with people individually anymore, but my website is MoneyZen, MoneyZen.com. And I have a resources tab there where I'm always updating what I think are the best books, where you can go for different issues to look for financial advice. I put out a monthly newsletter. I'm not selling anything. It is pure information. It's an educational newsletter. And that's the way I try and help all of the people that since I don't work with people one-on-one anymore, I keep the most useful things that I'm coming across and sharing through the newsletter or on my resources tab.
Perfect. And I love that name, MoneyZen, because don't we all want to feel zen around money? That we have enough, it's been managed, we understand it. MoneyZen. We all want that feeling of zen. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your insight, for your wisdom, for your clarity, and just for your ability to be out there in the world letting people know that, hey, money is kind of a cool thing. And we're all in charge of ourselves. We're all in charge of our money. Let's learn, let's discuss, and let's not be afraid. Listeners, I hope you have gotten as much as I have gotten out of this conversation. Please reach out, ask questions. If you've got any questions or comments and you're driving and you can't write it down, reach out to me. I will send you her website name, Manisha's email, letters, whatever name, all that stuff that you need, and I will put you in contact. Go to my new website as well, lauracheadle.com. Scroll down. On the very, very bottom, if you sign up for my newsletter, I've got a link for a planner. And I, after today's call, am going to update my planner to have a little financial reminder on the bottom of it. So you will be reminded week at a time, hey, what are you doing to take care of yourself financially? Have a fantastic week. I can't wait to chat with you next week. And as usual, don't forget to flaunt.
Tune in next time to Flaunt. Build your dreams, live your sparkle with radio host Laura Cheadle every Wednesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Come release self-judgment, reveal your naked self-worth, and re-choreograph a life filled with joy. Flaunt. Find your fetish, laugh out loud, accept unconditionally, navigate the negative, and trust in your truth. Find out more at lauracheadle.com. That's LoraCheadle.com.